Allstate for home, auto, and life insurance. You're in good hands with Allstate. And by Kellogg's, where you can get a taste for the healthy life. Let's take a look at the Federal Express halftime stats. Air Force with only a 10-yard edge in the running game. That's the first bad sign for them. Big passing half by Darnell. 298 total yards, and the most misleading lead in any of those categories is ball control by Air Force.
Obviously, two things jump out and show me that Ole Miss is controlling the game. The balance between rushing and passing, 133 to 165. Time of possession, they've been able to score quickly. But look at the 3 turnovers that Air Force has committed. That's something that they just do not do. They don't fumble the ball, and they don't throw a lot of interceptions, and they've been guilty of both tonight.
Individually, Baldwin, 7 carries, 121 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Darnell, 11 of 19, 165 yards, and a touchdown. So much easier for him when the running game is established as well as it has been tonight by Baldwin. And at the end of the first half, he had already become tonight the first Rebel running back to have a 100-yard game this year. No telling what he could wind up with as you look at him. The sophomore from Griffin, Georgia. Now, if you're Fisher DeBerry, if you're playing for the Air Force, what do you have to do here in the second half? Well, to some things that we hit on early.
Well, the first thing was to get pressure on John Darnell. They have not done that. 11 out of 19 is unbelievable. Have D. Dallas make correct decisions. He hasn't made a lot of bad decisions. He did throw 2 interceptions, but they have not been able to stop the run. They've had so many missed tackles. They've just gone up and down the field with missed tackles, and that's probably the thing that's killing them the most is the missed tackles and not stopping the run.
Now flip it over for Ole Miss.
Well, first of all, utilizing size advantage. I think Ole Miss is controlling the line of scrimmage. They have controlled the running game, so obviously they've contained Rodney Lewis, and they have controlled the ball, not in time of possession, but up and down the field in a number of yards. And for Coach Brewer, it's got to be a happy halftime for him.
They thought Lewis was a bigger worry than even Dallas. Neither one had much in the way of stats. And Max Smith has the second half underway. Ron Gray from his 10-yard line. All-whack kick returner up to the 28.
And Dave, the story on John Darnell is that, you know, we saw him injure that right ankle. He had hurt that ankle against LSU earlier this season. They did a tape job. They did have halftime to work on that ankle, and we will see if perhaps he will come back in for Ole Miss.
Dallas in the first half, 10 carries, 37 yards. And there you see his numbers through the air. The big problem, the 2 interceptions. Drops it, falls right on it, but a big loss of 6 back to his 22. Another near miscue, and there's the story. Interception led to a punt, fumble to a touchdown, and they survived the second interception.
And here they turn right around to fumble the ball back again, but they recover it. That's something you just cannot do. The wishbone offense has a lot of fatal mistakes that you can make, and that is something that Air Force has been able to avoid all year, but today they're suffering those mistakes. They're fumbling the ball, and that's something that's just not characteristic of them.
So they need 15 on second down, and Dallas trying to turn it upfield, and look out.
Goodbye.
Dee Dallas, one man with an angle, and he is run out of bounds by Don Price at the 16-yard line. That is a remarkable job by Price after a gain of 62.
Absolutely. Dallas. Now watch the cut he makes down the line. They defense it well. Now right here he breaks back in. Now the only person that has an angle on him is Price. And we talked about the exceptional speed. We're looking at a man that runs 4.41. You see the angle that he has. Dallas is just not able to overcome that angle, but what a run. If you want to get momentum back in your offense, that's the way you do it.
That's his longest run this year. 62 to set him up first and 10 at the 16 of the Rebels. And there goes Chris Howard, and he is inside the 5-yard line. They will look at first and goal after a pickup of 12.
And boy, would I like to have been a fly on the wall in the locker room of Air Force, because let me tell you, they are coming off the football here. Watch Howard explode up through there. Put that head down. Now watch right here. Put that head down. Boom. He's just going to plow up in there. Not great size. He's only 185 pounds. He runs like he's a 210, 215 running back.
And Price made his second straight touchdown-saving tackle. First and goal, 4-yard line. First man, second effort for Lewis, and he got half what he needed. He was hit by Sean Cobb first, the inside linebacker. And Fisher DeBerry, among a lot of people who have coached Air Force football players, says one of the best things about it is they know how to take criticism. They do it their entire career.
Oh yes, it's part of the education that they take. They take it and they take it correctively. They take it. In other words, they're trying to correct the mistakes. They don't take it as it's meant like an offense against them.
From the 3, touchdown, Greg Johnson.
Decision whether to go for 2 points. If they go for 2, that would put them down, if my math is right, by 11.
Make it 28-17. Big blocks by Kevin Bell and Paul Walski to open up the middle for Johnson. 16 rushing touchdowns during the regular season for him. A first-team all-conference selection, and Dallas is going to stay in. And as we mentioned, in the regular season, they were 6 for 8 going for a 2-point conversion. Tonight, 0 for 1, and for the first time all year, they threw, and the ball was intercepted off the arm of Ron Gray. Now it's maybe changing things.
Down to 4 seconds on the clock.
They are 0 for 2, going for 2. Lewis gets stacked up by Jacobs, Cobb, and Keith Thompson, the Rover. On the score, Kevin Bell with a huge block in the 53.
Oh, yes, he gets inside there. And watch this. They just blow him off the line. That's just power football.
Great story. Bell caught yellow fever in Florida last offseason and had fever up to 112 degrees. He lost 35 pounds. He is all the way back, as you can see, and the Falcons trying to come back as well. 28-15. Greg Johnson, his 17th rushing touchdown of the year. The senior from San Antonio brings him within 13, and here's the scoring drive. And, of course, the big play, the 62-yard run by Dallas.
And it doesn't take long when you pick up 62 in one play. See there, 210, and they are right back in this football game. They are down now 13 points. I'm sure that went through Coach Billy Brewer's mind at halftime. That's why he was telling them it's 0-0. We play like we came out here. Now it's important for Ole Miss to start taking back this momentum that they had so much of in the first part.
And Wood again preventing any kind of a run back as the fair catch is made at 27-yard line by Scott Swatzell, and Darnell back after he had plenty of time to get the ankle worked on, ice down after a hugely successful first half effort for him.
Well, it's going to be interesting to watch and see how that ankle responds. They retaped it, they did some treatment on it, and now it's going to see whether it has really responded.
Out of the eye on 1st and 10. And the pitch to the deep man, Baldwin, who had the incredible first half of 121 yards, and this time he's knocked out of bounds after a gain of 3 by Kafka, the nose guard, and Walker, the strong inside linebacker. Well, Air Force all year vulnerable to halves like Baldwin had, and tackling techniques seemed to be the problem from game 1 on when they gave up big yardage.
Well, I don't think you can fault any of the Air Force players for desire. I mean, they play football at peak for their size, but they are obviously undersized in comparison to some of the bigger teams that they play against.
Play action this time for Darnell, and intended for Green. That time, excellent coverage. They had him surrounded by 4 blue jerseys. Mathis, the nearest man to him.
Boy, and I thought Mathis, if he had gone for the football, might have had an interception. I think he came up and played the man, but I think if he had gone for the football, he would have had an interception.
Mathis, a senior from Augusta, Georgia. School. Play selection for Ole Miss, a slight advantage for the passing game. And, of course, just the opposite for the Falcons. 3rd down and 7. And Baldwin out of the backfield has the first down. 38-yard line at 8 yards for Randy Baldwin.
Well, we talked about missed tackles, and I think you'll see a missed tackle here that allows them to make a first down. Out in the flat. Now right here, we got to break down, keep a good base. Don't leave your feet behind, and you see 2 missed tackles, and Baldwin stretches for that first down. And that's what keeps drives alive. Baldwin was a junior college transfer, I understand, and didn't get a chance to play until, I believe, he just came in August. So really, he hasn't had a lot of chance to learn this offense. He learned it tonight.
It is all come together, I think, for him by now. This time to give to Tyrone Ashley, Baldwin's backup. Stopped by Terry Walker and Mike Juries. Walker, the second leading tackler. A lot of action in the middle. The 2 inside linebackers led them in tackles this year, Brian Hill and Walker. Gain of 2 by Ashley. Big Pin checking out. Maurice Shaw has checked in the backfield for 2nd down and 8. Swinging it out to Shaw. Out of 1 tackle and then to the 42. Short yardage on the reception. Terry Walker again involved.
Boy, has he been an active linebacker this year. 111 tackles. He's one of those heavyweights at 207. And I'll tell you, he is really active back there. He and Hill, the 2 inside linebackers, combined for 228 tackles. That's amazing. That's all over the field.
Air Force during the year averaged allowing 46% 3rd down conversions. A bit better than that today. Darnell a little out of the reach of Baldwin, catchable but not right on the money. And so the Rebels turned away on their first offensive possession of the 3rd quarter.
And the first thing I do as I look at Darnell come to the sideline was watching the way he walked. And he didn't show any limp. Didn't see any signs of that ankle injury coming flaring back up. So evidently the training staff of Ole Miss did just a good job at halftime.
So Charles Childers, who had a fine first half, will punt it away to Bobby Thomas, standing at his 20-yard line. And the rush was on this time, but he sails a beauty. And this one fair caught by Thomas at the 12. So the Falcons already with 1 quick touchdown drive within 13. 40-yard kick. 28-15 Ole Miss early 3rd quarter. Well, one of the traditions here in Memphis for the Liberty Bowl teams, this is, of course, a great medical center, and they always visit the children at St. Jude's Memorial Children's Hospital, and the Air Force players, in a tribute to a lot of the kids that they visited, are wearing their names on their uniform.
Yeah, they have the names on their helmets, and that's quite a nice, I know all those young people at the hospital will love seeing that. Another interesting thing about Air Force is that their players donated over $1,000 to the Chucky Mullins situation. $10 a man they gave.
Dallas, the late pitch, Chris Howard turned it up and then knocked out of bounds at the 19. Pickup of 7 yards on first down. Howard figuring more into the second half game plan than he did in the first 2 quarters.
Well, yeah, they're going a little bit more to the pitch, and they need to go a little bit more to the pitch. Dallas needs to mix it up so he takes the pressure off of him and allow him to break that big one when they start overplaying the pitch. Then he can come back like he did on that last one.
Air Force 143 rushing yards in the first half. They averaged 356. So well below the pace for that average. Well, it's been a different story here early in the second half. Again, Dallas on the option. That time they had him at the line of scrimmage. Chris Mitchell from the secondary and Kelvin Pritchett from defensive tackle. Mitchell made Dallas hold his ground, and then in came Pritchett to finish him off.
And that was one he might have been better off to pitch a little bit wider, because he took quite a hit. You know, it's amazing that he hasn't been hurt this year. As many shots as he takes.
He's like, they used to talk about Tony Dorsett. Somewhere he has the sixth sense to know when people are about to blast him Goes right out of harm's way.
Well, they asked him about it, and he said, I just know when to duck. Here's the same problem in that end zone, trying to get it off with that noise.
What they do, and Howard, first one up to the 34-yard line. 15 yards, first down. Great call here.
As a defensive player, this is one of the hardest plays. The quick hitter. Watch how fast the back hits the hole, and boom, he's into the secondary. You just don't have time to react. As a defensive player, you have to hit, you have to control your man, you have to shed him and move to the block. And when a play hits that fast, if that back finds a seam, as you're trying to control the man and get off him to move to the play, boom, he's right by you.
The right guard, Steve Wilson, 62, with the key block there, holding it for that extra beat to let Howard get past it. Dallas again keeping 37-yard line to the short side of the field that time. At the conclusion of tonight's game, Dave Rowe and I will announce the fourth player of the game. So please stay with us. 9:15 to play in the third, 28-15. Dallas now with very respectable numbers after they had held him to only 30 yards on 10 first-half carries.
And I'll tell you this, they run a lot better to their right than they do to their left. And that's why they have a tendency to run into the short side of the field when they're on this right hash mark, because they seem very strong have a right-hand tendency to run that wishbone play towards Dallas's right.
Rebel defensive line stiffening again. And Johnson held to a gain of only 2, so another key third down for Dallas. And the Red Raiders pouring it on Duke in the third quarter of the All-American Bowl.
Are you sure Steve Spurrier didn't already leave Duke?
You know,
wow.
People are obviously going to zero in on that as a major factor. And some people were saying it might have been less of a distraction had he announced his intentions rather than try to ignore the situation.
Well, certainly I think the speculation is if he was going to go, I think he led more to believe that he was going to go, because if he was not, they would have said, I'm not going.
3rd and 5, and Dallas is going to get the first down handoff. And yardage up to the 47, and this is Kevin Bell on the fumble-rooski, the left guard. They scored on this play. Steve Wilson took it in 23 yards against Notre Dame. That was the first rushing touchdown the Irish had allowed all year at that point mid-season.
Now, the old fumble-rooski is where the quarterback takes the ball and actually places it on the ground. The guard picks it up and runs a counter against the action. Maybe we can see it. Now, watch the quarterback right here. He puts the ball. Now, see right there, the center goes down. They put the ball right back down. Now, you'll watch the left guard will pick it up off his feet and run against the motion of the play. They're pulling out all the stops tonight. Fumble-rooski.
Lewis on the first down gain here. Tony Bennett made the tackle. They closed practices for about a week, and the speculation was they had to be putting in something like that. And they did. Fisher DeBerry with maybe more up his sleeve.
Well, I think if they can sustain this drive and get some points out of this game, you're going to see a very concerned Ole Miss sideline. Ole Miss had control of this football game until just a few minutes ago.
Falcons slightly in Rebel territory. Now is buried back for a loss at the 47. Darrell Smith. 6'1.5", 260-pound senior from Jackson, all over D. Dallas.
Now you want to see what a blitz is like? Watch the right upper part of your screen. Boom. That's what you call a blitz, when you just fly in there untouched.
Smith, a starter most of his career until a death in the family last year caused him to miss the Alabama game. And then Pritchett replaced him in that game and never lost the job again. Loss causing 3rd and 9 for Dallas, and Mitchell comes on a safety blitz, and Dallas does a good job not to lose even more and get it back almost to midfield. Also giving chase was Tony Bennett as well as Sean Cobb, but Mitchell really on the strong safety blitz came in a hurry.
Boy, they really are. And Ole Miss is really, what they're doing is they're blitzing the outside backers, trying to stop that pitch, trying to make him pitch it if he's going to pitch it early. And they're putting a tremendous amount of pressure. Anything that takes time, play action, where you fake into the line to try and draw the linebackers and then come out and pass. Anything like that that takes time is presenting a problem, because Ole Miss is really coming right down the throat of those big rushers.
Coleman standing at his 12-yard line. Remember his 58-yard touchdown return late in the first half. Fair caught and dropped, but he was out of bounds, luckily for him, at the 12. 28-15 Ole Miss. We'll be right back after these words from your local station. This is the Raycom Sports and Entertainment Network. The first down give, maybe one for Jim Earl Thomas, the backup halfback. John Darnell helped engineer a rebel attack in the first half, which piled up almost 300 total yards. Been a little harder to come by for them when they've had the ball, but a couple of times they've had it here in the third quarter.
Now let me tell you what Air Force is saying. Their offense has just come over the sideline. They're saying, listen, we can move the football. Defensive, you can go out and stop them, get us good field position, we can get back in this football game. For Ole Miss, they're saying, hey, listen, we got to get some driving back here. We got to start doing something.
Pat Coleman, first down catch at the 24. And the protection is one thing, and the timing is another that really jumps out about this pass from Darnell.
Well, watch this protection. See, they're in the up stance. Now watch those big linemen. They're pushing them around like ping pong balls out there. Nobody's getting in. Everybody's still straight on the line of scrimmage, and it just allows Darnell to pick out that wide receiver. And one thing that Darnell does so well is he throws the ball just before the receiver makes a cut and eliminates that reaction time.
This time they're all over it. Loss back to the 16. Brian Hill blitzing in from the weak inside linebacker for loss of 8 yards.
You said it, blitzing in from the inside linebacker. That's what you have to do to disrupt that. But that also was a secondary sack. They had great coverage out there on the strong side, and Darnell, rather than force it into coverage, just ate the ball. But that was what you call the old secondary sack. No place to throw it.
Also zeroed in on his intended receiver and didn't look anywhere else. So loss of 8, second and 18. On the ground, Baldwin, another huge gain. And still going, and Mathis finally drives him out. He looks to have a first down at the 35. 15 yards by Baldwin.
Boy, and I want to tell you, he leveled an official on the far sideline. That official saying, Tuesday, Wednesday, what? Wow. Baldwin's got these quick little feet. He scampers into the hole, makes that cut. He just scoots out there, and when he sees that break, now right there, he's just about tackled, but he keeps his footage, just keeps on coming down. Now watch when he goes out of bounds here. Get out of the way, official.
That is Joe Dorenzo, the field judge. And he saw it coming, but just a little too
Joe, you got to keep a lower base than that. You know, keep a low base, wide feet.
He has shaken it off.
Joe's back.
And they marked him out at the 32, so no first down. And this 3rd and 2 is going to be very close. They said he stepped out of bounds, although originally they marked him at the 37. Big Pen may cause a measurement here.
Well, this is awfully close.
No measurement until now. Now they will say official timeout and look at it. This is right at the 34 and a half for Ole Miss with 4:21 to play in the third quarter as they work with a 13-point lead, 28-15.
And the first thing Coach Brewer is saying is, boy, I hope we make it because I don't want to make that decision whether I have to go for it. But he doesn't have to make that decision because they did, in fact, make it. I'm going to tell you, he was a fun man to talk to. I got a chance to talk to him yesterday, and he and old Red Parker. You know Red Parker? Red's been in football for about 45 years, I think. I remember him at Clemson. He was down at Citadel. Just a lot of fun to talk with.
Offensive coordinator under Brewer. Darnell this time with the second option. Willie Green, first down grab, 47-yard line. And Gladney on the tackle. Green, the senior from Athens, Georgia. Very close to 2 career records for Ole Miss. 1 catch away from the career record of 127 by Floyd Franks, set between 68 and 70. 1 touchdown away from the record by J.R. Ambrose. He does have the school record with 2,274 career receiving yards. And a quick give up to midfield.
Now, I have to share a little insight with you. I told you that I got a chance to talk to Red Barker at the hotel. I want to tell you what his attire was. A T-shirt and his underwear. He sat there and talked to me for 35 minutes, and I don't think it bothered him a bit. He was sitting there in his underwear just chewing the fat, having a good time, telling me all about every one of the kids and what their strong points were, what they were going to try to do. And
was it distracting at all for you?
No, not at all.
We don't get any more.
I said you didn't have to get all dressed up for this interview.
You don't get any more hunkered down and relaxed than that. Darnell amazingly close to Coleman as he threw it, going off the wrong foot and still going backwards. Mathis had the coverage, and Darnell almost had an amazing completion here.
I thought this was almost pass interference. Watch and see if the defensive back doesn't reach out and just distract him a little. Watch the defensive back come in here and just kind of grab his shoulder, right? See right there? Now there's the ball. That was a very catchable ball.
And that's interference on Mathis.
That certainly looked like it.
He was not going for the ball.
No. But it wasn't called.
So 3rd down 6. Falcons get a break. And Darnell changing the play at midfield. Blitz coming. They pick it up. And a first down grab again. Inside the 40-yard line. 13 yards for Coleman.
Boy, you talk about picking up a blitz. They picked up the blitz. Ole Miss was prepared for it. Now watch right here. Watch the blitz. See, there's somebody free. Bam. You see the back come right up there and pick him up. That is perfect. Now watch right here. They got a free shot at him. And look at that running back come up there. I don't know if that was Baldwin or not. It looked a little bit like Baldwin, but boy, did he come up and stick that blitz in the middle.
Doing his D. Dallas imitation. He gains nothing. They've lost a half yard. Pat McNellis, the weak side defensive tackle all over him.
Look how taped up his foot is, the right foot of John Darnell. You can see it there in the picture as he walks towards us. They've got about 6 pounds of tape on that ankle. See how taped it is? Evidently sprained the outside of his ankle or his arch, and they've just taped it underneath, put the shoe back on, and taped over top of it.
He's a guy who has exceeded all expectations from when he first enrolled at Ole Miss. And letting this one go, looking for everything. Coleman tripped up and wants interference, but again, it will not be called. The ball almost intercepted by Faison.
Well, I don't think this was a catchable ball either by Coleman. Coleman looked as if he was interfered with, but I think the decision was that it certainly wasn't a catchable ball. The ball was 5 yards in the end zone. Coleman was knocked down about the 15-yard line. Perhaps we can see it here. Coleman's going to come from the right part of your screen. You see him in there. Now, he gets tripped, but see how far the ball was thrown over top of his head? There's very little chance that he would have caught that football because the defensive back's got a straight run on it and didn't catch it.
So bring up 3rd and 11. And again, Darnell. Deep pass caught. Great one-handed grab by Reed Hines at the 18.
This looks like a baseball player running on an outfield fly. The way he one-hands this and gets 1 foot down in bounds. You will not see a better catch in this game. Now watch this ball. The defensive back cuts underneath. Now watch Hines with one hand stick it out there, get the foot in bounds. Gosh, boy, that's just an exceptional catch.
That is going to remind a lot of Rebel fans of his game winner with 31 seconds to go, 13-yard touchdown to beat Georgia this year. He's had that knack, and he goes wide right. Darnell still with it, though, and then after the fake pitch, coughs it up, and the Falcons have the recovery. Eric Faison. The junior out of Wilmington, North Carolina, has given the Falcons another huge boost.
Watch this. Darnell just gets hit from the wrong angle. The ball just squirts out. He's got nowhere to go. He tries to cut up, and he'll get hit from the back, and there the ball squirts out, and the Falcons recover it.
Credit Pat McNellis. He caused the fumble. Falcons from their 14. At for the second John Darnell fumble of the night. And Doug Jacobs on the stop here of Jason Jones, the backup fullback, sophomore from Grand Prairie, Texas. They really go into the Southwest with their running backs. Johnson from San Antonio, Lewis from Oklahoma City, Howard from Plano, Texas, Jones from Grand Prairie. Deshaun Durham, backup right halfback from Arlington, Texas. And Air Force has done it strictly on the ground ever since halftime.
Yes, they have not thrown a pass this half.
Now we're still with it. And then Victor Lester up from behind, but the flag is down.
This may be a face mask. I think perhaps we'll see it as it goes down. Now watch to see if in fact he doesn't get the face mask.
Yep.
Now the question is, does he use it to tackle? To me, that's using it to tackle. That's 15 yards.
Yeah, that is scary when you see a head snap back like that.
Absolutely. Now in the referee's opinion, this is the decision here, whether it was the flagrant one or whether it was the inadvertent one.
While they decide, let's pause briefly for station identification. This is the Raycom Sports and Entertainment Network.
WDBD TV 40 Jackson.
Well, they signal second down, so only a 5-yard mark-off. I think, like you, if you're ever going to see the major, that would be the case.
That's pretty major. See, the difference is the one where the hand comes on the mask, and it's the inadvertent one. And the other one is where it's used to tackle. And I think that was used to tackle. I think that that's a tough call.
Tony Bennett all over Chris Howard, and they cough it up. Philip Kent along that sideline. Bennett hit him. Kent got the loose ball.
Watch this hit going into the sideline. You're going to see quite a shot. Look at the number of white jerseys pursuing the football. Boy, that's as hard a hit as you can come up with.
And Howard's still down over there after the contact.
And look at the number of white shirts that are just flying through the air there. Again, we're looking at a team, Air Force, that only fumbled 12 times all year. We've seen 2 fumbles and 2 interceptions, and that's just something. Dallas only had 4 interceptions all year. He's had 2 tonight. They only fumbled it 12 times all year, and they already have 2 tonight.
So there is Howard still trying to regain his senses after that outstanding pursuit by the Ole Miss defense caused him to fumble it away, and hopefully he is okay. Looks like he is. Second team academic All-American with a 3.5 average in poli-sci. And he will be back next year. So the Rebels now up 28-15 and looking from the 20 of Air Force for more out of the I formation. And Baldwin, the man to call on, out of 1 tackle and out of bounds. And he is going to be very close for another first down.
I can tell you that Ole Miss line is spreading them out. They have the opportunity to run inside or outside. They can do either one. You see here now, watch Baldwin as he takes the little toss here. He scoots in and makes the defensive backs commit and then scoots back out. Now right there, he scoots in, now backs out around, and you can see the defensive backs inside. Nobody to force it from the outside, and that's why he makes the corner.
9-yard gain that hurts his average. It's all the way down to 14.9 per carry now. 10 carries, 149 yards. Baldwin again, end around, double reverse to Coleman. Touchdown.
Quarterbacks like to show how tough they are. And that time when Darnell throws the ball, he pitches it out there. He gets out in great position to throw a good block. And I can tell you when they watch that film, I mean, he'll say, man, I killed him. Even if he didn't, he'll say, no, I just leveled him. Greg Moe straight on another extra point. watching Darnell's block. It's not something he can brag about. But
well, Coleman almost right into our camera.
Here's another angle. Now watch Darnell in the middle. We're talking kid about the quarterback now. Watch, he goes off to the right and turns around. Now there's the reverse. Now you see this vicious block by the quarterback right there. Oh man. I'll tell you one thing, that brought fear to the linebacker's heart.
Long whirlpool after this one's over. The 185-pounder Pat Coleman, big play man all year, 5 touchdown receptions, and then his first punt return for a touchdown in the first half of 58 yards. This reverse of 11 yards to make it 35-15.
And that's not something that they just picked out for this game. Coleman's run a lot of reverses this year. Talking with Red Parker, he said perhaps we didn't run him enough in reverses. We probably should have given it to him more.
Big play theme continues on this scoring drive for the Rebels.
Great field position. You take the ball over, you can see right there. They get the ball 20 yards. That's all they had to go. It only takes 18 seconds. I'll tell you one thing, they're going to have the shortest touchdown drive per touchdown in the history of the Liberty Bowl.
A lot of speculation before this game that Brewer might want to just pound it at him and use that size advantage. They've mixed it up about the way they usually do, the run versus the pass.
Exactly. That's what you have a great tendency as a coach to come in and see that size advantage and say, hey, wait a minute, we can abandon what we've done. We can run the ball down their throat. We can just pound it out. Now, you can't do that in the SEC because of the caliber of those linemen. But again, he just decided that they were going to go with what they've done so well.
And Ron Gray thought about settling for a touchback and recovers almost all of what was at risk there as he's up near the 20, and Tyrone Ashley was there with a special teams tackle, and Gray still down. This is a very hard-hitting game.
Look at the emotion on the teams with a hit like that. Now, what he does is when he gets this ball at the tail end, he's just running just as hard as he can to try to get out to the 20. There he takes a shot in the legs, and right there he hits his own man in the back. He hits Lewis in the back.
Lewis is lucky he's not down as well. That's where you tear up a knee in a freak contact situation like that. And they continue to look at Ron Gray with 21 seconds to go in the third quarter. Does a layoff between the end of the regular season and your bowl game help or hurt to have that much time off?
Well, it helps in that if you've got injured players, they can recover and get back. If you've got a sprained ankle or a sore ribs or something like that. But as far as timing, it's tough. And especially with the Air Force, it was tough because their exams came right as they broke at the end of the season. And we talked about the academics that these young men have to take at Air Force. It's amazing. I think they take 21 or 22 hours.
Up to 24 hours. You can believe that. 49-21. Texas Tech blowing away Duke in the All-American Bowl in the fourth quarter.
I wonder what James Gray is doing in that game.
Probably big damage, as he did all year. And Gray will be helped off after that freak contact. Now here's the average field position to begin a drive. Ole Miss from the 33, Air Force from the 24.
If you think that's bad, I'll bet you the time of the drives. We can think of some of the drives that they've had. I think the average length of their drive, our buddy Kirk McCarley here says that it's 58.5 seconds.
And a half second.
Yes, 58.5 seconds, the average length of their drive, and they've scored 35 points. That means you score fast.
That means Dee Dallas has been playing comeback football virtually all night. Falcons have never had a lead in this game. And we are about to head to the fourth quarter. 21 seconds still to go in the third.
I don't think Dallas has thrown yet in this third period.
This is his first. And it is Steve Senn, first down yardage at the 33. And they move the chains with 14 seconds. Senn, their leading receiver with 30 catches in their 12 regular season games. Senior from Albuquerque. Gerald McAllister on the tackle. And the clock rolls, and the Falcons should get one more snap. Nope. Whistle blows. And it's just as well for them because they're going to turn around and have the wind at their backs for the fourth quarter. We are through 3 at the 31st Liberty Bowl in Memphis. It is all Ole Miss so far. Dave Barnett, Dave Rowe back in Memphis, Tennessee. One more quarter with Ole Miss on top by 20. Falcons will have a first down and 10 at their 34-yard line. And they are looking at what needs to be their most spectacular comeback of the year. There is early movement by Smith, and a probable walk-off of 5 yards against the Rebel defense.
That helps a little 5 yards, doesn't it?
Let's check our Federal Express third quarter stats. Ole Miss with a 5 first down edge. Air Force starting to get the rushing yards we'd expect. 230, exactly what Air Force allows on the average per game in the passing game. Rebels get there through 3 quarters and almost 400 total yards.
But the one stat that doesn't show up there is a 20-point lead by Ole Miss.
So first and 5 at the 39. And Rodney Lewis got it. Dallas did a great job carrying out the fake. And they drive Lewis way back, but I think they're going to mark his progress originally at the 40.
And there's a man we haven't called a lot tonight, but quite a football player, Sean Cobb, in there. 103 tackles. He was the leading tackle from that middle linebacker spot. He is a real leader, just a junior, and he'll be back next year.
He calls it defensive signals. And this second down, and still a short 5 at the 39, maybe 4. Up for a first down reception with Howard, the man who just got helped off the field. Now check it, and it is going to be Deshaun Durham, his backup. Backs up Chris Howard at right halfback.
Well, the way he threw this ball reminds me of another quarterback that is real nearby.
That wouldn't be John Forcade of the New Orleans Saints by any chance, would it?
Yes, it is. Just happened to stop in the booth here.
Well, 2 former Saints, a former Saint and
an old former Saint and a current Saint.
The current quarterback, and of course, one of the great quarterbacks in Ole Miss history, has joined us in the booth. We'll talk with John after this. First and 10 at the Rebel 39. Late pitch. And the 38 maybe for Durham again. Bennett and Godwin were there for the tackle. Now, as an Ole Miss grad, you have to be just delighted with what you've seen so far.
Well, Dave, I'm happy to come out here and see Ole Miss up by 20 points in the Liberty Bowl. It's an honor to be here tonight and see they're playing phenomenal football.
What do you think of Darnell so far in his play selection? Really good.
He's doing a fantastic job. He's audible and he's reading the defenses, and he's throwing the ball perfect.
And they're controlling the line of scrimmage. Quarterbacks like to see that time, don't they? Sit back there and pass.
Dallas will call time. The play clock was down to only 2, so they burned their first second half timeout. 13:04 to play. They trailed by 20. Well, as we mentioned, we have been joined by the New Orleans Saints starting quarterback, John Forcade. You ought to be congratulated winning the starting job late in the season.
Well, Dave, I appreciate that coming from an announcer who watches football. We had a good season this year, went 9-7, a winning season. We should have been in the playoffs. We didn't make it. I got an opportunity to start the last 3 games and end of the year #1. But I worked hard for it, and hopefully going into the season next season, I'll have the shot to be #1 again.
Dave, let me ask you, John, let me ask you a question. I see you overlooking Dave. Where were you when I played in the Saints? Now, you must have been in diapers, huh?
I was probably in junior high school.
From downtown Gretna.
You got
that well.
Second and 9. Dallas with the look. Pump fake. Still has it. Going for everything. And knocked away by Jeff Carter. Intended for Sen at the goal line.
You know, Dave, that's the first time I stood next to a quarterback and actually liked him. That it wasn't playing on my team.
Well, Dave, I'm just glad you didn't hit me.
Well, this play certainly didn't fool the Ole Miss Rebels. They played it well. You can see the ball tapped away there. That's just a good, solid play.
Talked about Darnell. What's your impression of Dallas?
He's got quick feet. I tell you what, he's a small quarterback, and he runs the option probably as good or as great as any quarterback ever played college football. And they had to contain him, and that's what I think Ole Miss is trying to do right now.
It's interesting what they're doing, John, on the line, using those big linemen. They were doing loops and stunts earlier to try to mess up the blocking. And they were very successful with stuffing Dallas.
And overthrows Sam. He was open. He had a big cushion in front of Godwin. Had the ball been there, might well have scored. They had nothing to keep him from going the same angle right into the end zone. So it has been an off and on type passing attack for Air Force, not very consistent.
Well, John, when you throw a pass like that, what's the first thing that goes through your mind? Would you love to have it back?
Oh, yeah, first thing you do when you miss a pass like that, you always blame yourself, and I think he's blaming himself because the guy was wide open. He just threw a little too hard and too high.
So on 4th and 9, down 20, not much choice. This part of the field they have to go for.
And they're going into that noise factor that played a big part.
All over Dallas, and the Falcons' gamble comes up empty. 12:44 remaining. The Rebels remain in control. Back after these words from your local station. This is the Raycom Sports and Entertainment Network. Out of the tackle again. Finally, he will be driven out at the 43-yard line. 8 yards this time for Baldwin, who's getting ever closer to the 200-yard barrier. He's got 11 carries now for 157. John Forcade up here with us in the booth, and you made a good point. They've had so many big plays. The offense has been the big focal point for them tonight, but the defense for Ole Miss last in the conference in rushing allowed, in total yardage allowed, and in points allowed all year. Ought to get a lot of credit tonight.
Oh, mostly to the defense coordinators. You know, they had a lot of time off, too, to work on this type of offense, and I saw them just a couple of times, and they did give up a lot of yards defensively, but when your offense plays a lot and stays on the field a lot, it can definitely take a lot of pressure off your defense.
That one just out of the reach of Rich Gibbia, the tight end. Mike Jury's had the coverage. So Darnell thinking about 3rd and 2. Don't forget, we'll be naming the 4th player of the game at the conclusion of the Liberty Bowl. 12:28 to play. Ole Miss 35, Falcons 15.
That's a low shot. Oh, that's from the jet. I think that scooped Tommy Tate.
Now becomes Air Tate.
Air Tate. I'll tell you one thing. I don't believe anything Tommy Tate tells me.
Not anymore.
John, I want to tell you, in the history of football, you know there are characters. That man gave us some of the worst information in the history of broadcasting. He will be forever enshrined with the name Scoop Tommy Tate.
Well, on the 3rd and 2, after completely ending any future journalistic hopes he may have, 3rd and 2, and Darnell kept it for the first down. I think it's a lot of great shots roaming the sideline. Darnell to Willie Green, another first down, made the grab. A very low pass at the 41.
John, let me ask you a question from a cornerback's viewpoint. Of course, Darnell, the adjectives they use to describe him, plays within his own talents, utilizes every bit of his ability. How do you think his arm is as far as strength in his arm? Is it as strong as, say, an Archie Manning or yourself, or is it does he make up on his ability to pick defenses apart and audibilize on the line?
Well, I think the main thing about Darnell is he knows where to go with the football. And if he knows where he goes with the football, it doesn't matter if he's got a strong arm or not. I don't think he has a strong arm, but I think he's got a good arm enough that he gets the ball there when he has to. Plus, they call him the right plays for him. They know he's not going to throw the curl route or the out route so much differently than he would do other routes. So they work around Darnell, and Darnell right now is throwing the ball as well as I've ever seen him throw the football. He doesn't have the quick feet, though.
He was redshirted when he came early in his career in 1985. They didn't stop him from getting a Heisman vote. Well, his This ball right where he needed it, and Green almost made a spectacular grab.
Well, it's a soft pass, too. You can see how soft the ball comes in there. It's not a bullet. Doesn't have the point down. The point was up and almost like it floated in there.
Right, he just laid that ball up there, and Green should have had that catch. I think he tried to run before he caught it.
Darnell, when he redshirted in '85, got a Heisman vote from Billy Cannon. Former Heisman winners get a vote. For some reason, Billy Cannon was very impressed by Darnell. Baldwin on 3rd and 1. First down, 25-yard line. He's got a lot of Dallas-type moves. You never know where he's going to finally end up.
Well, if you see how fast his feet are, he doesn't run with those long strides. He just kind of scoots along. His feet are very low along the ground, and consequently he can make great cuts. Let's watch this action again. Now he runs into the hole. See how quick his feet are moving? Watch how quick. Boom, see, he plants. Look how he just kind of skips in there. Again, his feet are down. He doesn't take those long strides. Consequently, he can change direction very quickly.
He gets a breather, and Tyrone Ashley checks in. 1st and 10. Rebels marching. 26 of Air Force. All day, and Darnell swings it to Jibby at the tight end, and he is inside the 10-yard line. Driven out by Brian Hill. Rebels looking first down and goal.
Boy, in that time, Darnell used the clock so well. That clock was down to 1 second when he snapped it. And look at the time again. They're just pushing those linemen around. So maybe some pressure from the backside, but real late. It's kind of quarterback's dream to sit back there with that much time.
Oh, definitely. Whenever you get that much time, you can look over the whole field. He took the ball back, and he waited till the last minute, and he dumped the pass off to his tight end. That's a sign of a good quarterback, and he's having a phenomenal game.
Yeah.
Well, in the short yardage situation, Darnell out of there, and the freshman, Russ Shouse, checks in the wishbone. Rebels have that in their arsenal as well. Shouse play action. Lobs it out. It is caught by Ed Thigpen for the touchdown.
Boy, what a nice touch on that by a freshman, John.
I'll tell you, anytime you get a freshman in a football game and throw a touchdown, he's very jubilant. So I know for a fact that he didn't want to mess up on this play, so he threw a little bit of an easy pass there.
Well, now that's an interesting thing. They bring in Shouse on 3rd down situations and goal line short yardage. And can you imagine he's been 100% successful in the last 6 games he has completed. Every time he's made the first down on when he has been in there in that 3rd down and short situation.
Well, obviously, Coach Brewer feels like he's the guy to put in there in that situation.
Childers for the hold. A flag down as the kick by Hogue is good, but flag thrown right as the ball was snapped. So 41 and maybe 42-15 as we get the call. Nope, they will have to do it again. You were going to try and get with Chucky Mullins before the game. You were up in the booth with him?
I went to see him at the hospital this morning, actually around lunchtime. I visited with him about a half hour. I took a professional golfer with me, Kevin Uvino, and business manager of mine, Alan Donahue. We went in to visit him today, and we sat for about a half hour, and we talked about football and how great to see him, and he's a great contributor to this Ole Miss football team.
And Dave, let's take another look at this play. This was quite a nice pass. Good touch. Now watch this. Fake into the line. Now watch the way he lays the ball over top of the defensive back and right into the hands of this wide receiver, Ed Thigpen.
And then they decide the extra point is good. And John, we appreciate your spending some time with us. And best of luck next year with the Saints.
Appreciate it, Dave. Both days, matter of fact.
Thanks, John.
John Forcade, Ole Miss 42, Air Force 15.
Well, this is an interesting play.
Our eyes didn't deceive us. I thought he said illegal procedure, and they at first signaled the kick was good, so they do call him back out there. They do have to do it all over, and it doesn't matter. This is now the highest scoring bowl game the Rebels have ever had. Their previous record, 41-18 for Georgia Tech in the 1971 Peach Bowl. And another record is also in the books. Baldwin, with 172 yards on 13 carries, has by a large margin already broken the previous record. As you look at what the Rebs have done in the Liberty Bowl, 157 yards by Ray Brown in just 15 carries against Texas in the 1958 Sugar Bowl. That was the previous Rebel record for bowl rushing, and Baldwin well past that. This latest scoring drive for the Rebels with 10:44 remaining in the game. That, I think, the longest they have had all game.
That's the longest drive, I believe, of the day.
In time.
2 minutes. Only 2 minutes. Yeah, that's right. Well, it was a little bit longer than normal. 65-yard drive in 2 minutes. They have just scored so quickly. It's just been amazing tonight.
Their average scoring drive lasts a minute 10.8 seconds. Thank you.
A minute and 10.8 seconds.
Jason Jones from 2 yards deep. With one tackle, then the 17. Tried to make something happen where perhaps it was not there. Scott Swatzel again with the special teams tackle, and we're going to see a new quarterback. The Falcons will go with Lance McDowell, a senior from Shreveport, Louisiana. Has backed up Dallas virtually his entire career. About the same size as Dallas, in fact, a little heavier, but also a little bit shorter. And an excellent runner. He has averaged 6.7 yards per carry. 7 of 8 through the air for the year.
That's pretty impressive.
Are you surprised they pulled Dallas?
No, not really. He's just taking a lot of shots, and he's just not having a good day. And also, this young man, Lance McDowell, he's played behind Dallas. He's had to live in his shadow all year long, and it's a nice gesture by Fisher DeBerry to let him have a chance to play.
And he is hooked up with the tight end Van Holzen. As you look at D right in the middle there, and at this point looks like his Air Force football career is over, and you would have to say no Falcon has ever had a better career.
Well, I know back in his hometown, back in Georgia, they've got a sign that Ty Cobb was born and raised there, but I think they ought to put a sign up there for D. Dallas. He is quite an example for young men. Said no to drugs, no to alcohol, and a great, just a great faith, and he's just an outstanding example for young people to follow.
Durham for 11 yards. Final from Birmingham, 49-21 Texas Tech. And James Gray finishes his career for the Red Raiders with a career day. 280 yards, 4 touchdowns for the All-American, and no telling what he can do in the NFL.
Well, we got to watch him a lot on Raycom Sports this year, and I can tell you James Gray will be a #1 draft choice. I would just almost assure it. Catches the ball well, he makes him miss, and he just had a great career.
McDowell going deep. Catch is made by Sen, and a foot race. Mitchell catches up to him at the 32. And we're seeing why McDowell was 7 of 8 throwing for the year.
Boy, he threw a strike on this one. It's a well-thrown ball. It was not bad coverage. You can see the defensive back was right there on the play. So within a step, Sen brings the ball down, and again, it's good field position.
Average for his career, almost 20 yards per catch, and that's second in Air Force history to Van Holzen. So from the 32, 1st and 10. Falcons down by 27.
Boy, that's when you want to snap it, when that defensive lineman jumps over.
McDowell trying to turn the corner and cannot do it as Todd Sandroni comes up from free safety. He's the man who's got the knee problems, led the SEC in interceptions each of his first 2 years, and while he was not on the field, kept busy in the classroom. 4-point average in pharmacy last spring. Just a junior. He'll be back. Get a chance to win his starting job again next year. As you look at McDowell, he will not be back. And there's speculation that the backup left halfback, Ron Gray, who we saw try the 2-point conversion pass, maybe switch back to quarterback and be the heir apparent to Dallas next year. McDowell trying to decide what to do. Saw an opening, now lets it go into the end zone. And it is caught for a touchdown. What a job by Sen.
I'm going to tell you, Sen used his body as well as any wide receiver can use his body. This ball was thrown up at the last minute. McDowell threw the ball up. He just wanted to get rid of it. He was under tremendous pressure. And Sen is what makes a quarterback look good. And he made his quarterback look great on that play. Used his body to shield the defensive back and came down with that touchdown.
So McDowell doesn't take much time at all to get on the board. 42-21. And again, DeBerry with the two-point conversion play in. They send Darrell Woods wide right. But they stay in the bone. Play action, ball tipped away and intended for Van Holzen. And they come up empty for the third time tonight, going for two. A couple of angles on the touchdown now.
Yeah, let's see if we can watch how Sen uses his body to defend. Now this right here, this is a quarterback under pressure. Dave, that's just a throw. You see the trajectory of the ball is wobbly. To watch Sen shield the defensive back with his body, he just actually just kind of got in his way and just kind of almost bumped for position.
9 minutes and 2 seconds remaining. Ole Miss by 21. This is now the second highest scoring Liberty Bowl in history. 1969, Colorado 47, Alabama 33. That was also the game where Bob Anderson of the Buffalo set the Liberty Bowl rushing record of 254 yards. And Baldwin is, if he stays in, going to come very close. It looks like 13 carries for 172 so far. Still 9:02 remaining. Pat Coleman, already a 58-yard punt return for a score to his credit. And he doubles back, but is finally lassoed at the 29 after a 17-yard return.
I wonder where he was going on that. He was out about the 35-yard line, started circling back.
That's confidence in your speed when you do that.
Yeah, you never see defensive linemen ever do that. We never circle back.
Well, Baldwin's still in there, so they may be aware on Billy Brewer's sideline where he is and where he can still go statistically in this game, which began before a record crowd, 60,128. A record by about 6,000. Showers on the keeper, diving forward for 2 or 3.
I wouldn't think Baldwin is just a sophomore. He has 2 more years ahead of him.
And there it is. A lot of folks still here. Well, we got a break on the weather. 52 degrees at kickoff.
It's hard to believe.
-5 at this time.
Well, the wind chill factor last week at this time was, I think they said somewhere around 25 below 0. And I am thankful.
Great drop now rolling, and Showers complete for a first down up to the 49-yard line. John Moore, backup flanker, with the grab, and Mario Mathis with the tackle. And 8:13 remaining. Ole Miss, assuming they hang on to their 21-point lead, will finish 8-4. That's as good a record as they've had in quite a while. Billy Brewer, in his 7th year, a 2-time SEC Coach of the Year, has really done the job after they had some down years in the Rebel program. Tyrone Ashley, Falcon territory at the 44, pick up a 7 and maybe 8.
And Dave, this may be his best coaching staff job this year, coaching job by his staff. I'm going to tell you something. You look at this team, and you first of all, you look for superstars, and there are not a lot of D. Dallases on this Mississippi team. Ole Miss just does not have the real big name players, but every one of them has just played remarkably well this year. And that's a tribute to the coaching staff, because I'm going to tell you something, they get the most out of each one of their players.
Maurice Shaw in motion. Baldwin, game tackle as he reached the 40-yard line, 4-yard gain. And in what you're talking about, they remind you of the other team that won tonight, Texas Tech. A team that is far from the most talented team in their conference, the Southwest Conference, but they maximize what they have.
Oh, absolutely. I thought that Spike Dykes and his crew down there in Texas Tech did the finest coaching job I've seen in a long while. I think the Ole Miss squad is very indicative of that same remark, because they have coached. They were not picked to be in the top 5 or 6 in their conference. Talked about the skilled positions. They just didn't have a whole lot going for them, and yet to come up with a season like they have, to face adversity with the injury.
McNellis from the side angle that time, knocking down Showers just outside the 35-yard line. The weird game they experienced was the Alabama game. They went ahead 21-0 in just a few minutes, and then 62 unanswered points by the Crimson Tide. They ended up losing 62-27. But they did pull some upsets over Florida, over Georgia.
Well, and I don't want to slight Fisher DeBerry and his staff either. They do a remarkable job. They don't get the blue chip players, supposedly, the players that have the great athletic talent to go to all the major colleges, but they just do an outstanding job with the talent they get. Young men that go to the Air Force Academy realize that they have a 5 to 7 year commitment once they graduate.
Jeff Rhodes, the backup right tackle, moved for Ole Miss, so they march back with 6:09 remaining. That's a given. Air Force is going to go with people who do not have football foremost in mind after they get through their 4-year college career.
Well, you take a player like D. Dallas. He wanted to go to Duke, Vanderbilt, or Georgia Tech. He's from Georgia. None of them showed any interest. He had an opportunity to go to West Point, where the Air Force Academy, chose the Air Force Academy, and had a great shot at the Heisman Trophy this year.
And he's thinking about perhaps pilot training, which would involve 8 more years worth of commitment. Chow's deep and too far inside his intended receiver. Trying to hook up with J.J. Walker as a lot of Rebels get some playing time here. 5:55 remaining. This stands to be easily their biggest margin of victory all year. They've never had it easy. Their largest margin was 10 points over Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl. They won 3 games in the 4th quarter this year. They won 2 in the final 31 seconds. They lost 2 to Arkansas and LSU in the final 19 seconds. So this is really against the grain for the Rebels to be up 21 late. Chow's way back inside his own 45 before he cuts it back upfield, and now weaves the other way. And this gets interesting. Likely settles for the 37 and probably ran 60 or 70 to get there.
To get a 2-yard gain.
Right. Randall Gladney finally chased him down.
I can tell you, the ones that are dragging the most are those big defensive linemen that had to run. Now, just watch. The field is 50-some yards wide, 53 yards wide. Now, watch this all the way to this sideline. Almost steps out of bounds. Now cuts all the way back. And this is easily a 60-yard run. Kind of shades of Archie Manning, don't you think?
Or John Forte. Childers' punt is lowest and shortest of the night, and fair caught by Bobby Thomas at the 11-yard line. 36 yards on the effort by Childers. 42-21 Ole Miss. Back after these words from your local station. This is the Raycon Sports and Entertainment Network. Let's take a look at our scoring summary, and this is going to take a while in the 32-21 game.
Boy, when you're up 21 points, everybody wants to get on. Well, let's read through it. The first quarter, Ole Miss comes out with a 7 points. The Darnell to Hines pass. Then we had a field goal by Air Force to get back 7-3. Then 14, Ole Miss with a Baldwin run. Then Dallas came back to make it 14-9. Baldwin another 21-yard run. And then the punt return by Coleman, the 58 yards, took it to 28-9. Johnson, a 3-yard run for a touchdown, made it 28-15. Coleman, 11-yard run to make a touchdown, 35-15. Then Chow's to Thigpen, 42-15. And last but not least, McDowell to send the 35-yard touchdown pass, 42-21. And that's the score. And how's that?
Pretty good. Take a couple plays off. Regroup.
All in one breath. 1st and 10
at the 11. Probably the second Coleman touchdown, the real backbreaker as it stands now. Tony Brown with the tackle on Durham, who has played ever since the starting right halfback, Chris Howard, got shaken up on a play in which he fumbled and led to another Ole Miss score. As we wind it down in the 31st Liberty Bowl, 20,000 Ole Miss fans, 10,000 tickets sold by the Air Force fans. Ole Miss surpassing the previous high sale by any school in this game, Illinois 16,000 in 1982, and it all added up to a record crowd of 60,000 in the recently expanded Liberty Bowl Memorial Stadium. The jitterbug ability of McDowell on display, and he earned burns his way up to the 19, 11 yards.
And I've got to tell a quick one on Fisher DeBerry. I was in the elevator with him today, and we were going up to the room, and I said, "Hey, Coach, how's everything back in Sherrill, South Carolina?" He said, "Do you know where Sherrill is?" I said, "Yeah, sure." I said, "Anybody lives in downtown Asheboro, North Carolina, knows where Sherrill is." And he said he was just so happy that somebody knew where Sherrill was.
Well, let us in on the scene.
Well, it's just over the border. Actually, a lot of girls and guys from North Carolina go down there to get married.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's the little marriage capital of North Carolina. Well, that's a beautiful little town.
Well-timed pitch. And they will mark the progress to the 24-yard line. Durham with the first down and knocked out by Reggie Parrott, the backup inside linebacker.
And this is a well-timed pitch. Watch how close this pitch is to being killed. The quarterback literally got smashed on the play.
And then Durham got smashed again. So the hitting continues despite the runaway nature of the game. The Falcon has not taken off figuratively tonight for Jersey. Ready to tail it back to Colorado Springs.
I got to throw one more little word of wit on you after this play about Coach DeBerry.
I will look forward to it. McDowell to send. And still going, and finally dropped at the 44-yard line after a pickup of 20. Danny Boyd on the tackle. And Air Force trying to hurry it up with no huddle. Clock stopped at 3:26 remaining. Maybe a while before he gets to the little anecdote.
Well, it's not a big one. It's just a little one about his college.
Wofford. Again, McDowell on the roll, and again to send. 41 of the Rebels before he is brought down by Gerald McAllister. Now then.
All right. Well, what Fisher DeBerry, of course, he went to Wofford College. Now, you know where Wofford is, right?
No.
You don't? My neighbor in Asheboro, North Carolina, came running down and said, "Do you know that Fisher DeBerry's from Wofford College?" And that's in Spartanburg. And I figured right away that my neighbor had to be an alumni of Wofford College in Spartanburg, South Carolina.
Van Holzen the grab, and Air Force marching against the loose secondary with 3:08 remaining. The clock stops. Spartanburg, South Carolina.
Yep, it's a small school, but it's a good school. He was quite a good football player there.
He was introduced at the pregame luncheon yesterday as the fastest talking man you will ever see from South Carolina. And he lives up to his billing, by the way.
Well, he's quite a good builder of men. They have a great program in their 35-year history at Air Force. They have just developed a lot of great people.
And he really helped turn their fortunes around when they installed the wishbone when he was an assistant back in 1980.
Remember who he was assistant to?
Ken Hatfield.
Right.
Jason Jones on the carry here. This is only the second bowl loss for DeBerry. He won the 1984 Independence, the Bluebonnet, in 85 when they finished 12-1, and he was named National Coach of the Year. And then in 87, Dallas had a broken wrist, and they lost the Freedom Bowl to Arizona State. Broken up by McAllister, intended at the 5-yard line for Darrell Woods.
Oh, and that was close to interference. The defensive back timed that absolutely perfect.
Air Force to wind up the year 8-4-1. A lot of Rebel fans sticking around to savor every last second of this one, as they will finish 8-4. The Rebels can look to the return of Showles at quarterback. Baldwin will be only a junior next year. Ashley was the junior. Fitchman will be a senior. The rest of the skill folks are going to be back. Into the end zone, and an easy touchdown for Steve Sinn, his second of the night. 22 yards on the hookup, McDowell to Sinn. So the senior from Albuquerque, New Mexico, 4 regular season touchdown grabs. Half that many tonight. Darrell Woods will bring in yet another 2-point conversion play with 2:34 remaining. And this now will be very close to the all-time scoring record for a Liberty Bowl. The record is 80 to now to 69.
And still a lot of time. 2:34 left.
A lot of time.
It's a lot of time if you're Ole Miss with their scoring drives. They've got time to score twice. Their average scoring drive tonight.
successful two-point conversion for the Falcons, and another look at the touchdown.
And this was an easy touchdown. Really an easy one. Looks back away, now comes back to his primary receiver under a lot of pressure. And look how wide open Sen is out there. He is just wide open. Now this is just a power play. Quick pivot, give it to the fullback right up the middle. Boom. There he goes, and he just powers his way into the end zone for the two-point conversion.
And that brings it back within 13. Not over yet. 42-29. We'll be right back after these words from your local station. This is the Raycom Sports and Entertainment Network. By the Falcons, 2 minutes and 34 seconds remaining. And the probability, I guess, slightly higher than D. Dallas playing defensive tackle, but down 13, that really was a big two-point conversion now.
A lot of things can happen in a football game if they recover this.
We'll see how Joe Wood handles the kick, and they decide to fire a line drive at Holder, and it is recovered by the Rebels right off of his chest at the 43-yard line. And Hines, the man who came up with it, so the Rebels were ready, and they had all their skill people with the good hands along the line and behind the initial assault.
And I want to tell you, that was a great recovery by Reed Hines, number 5. Because that ball hit off one of the receivers, and it was live, and he caught it in the air and didn't bobble it.
So the Rebels from the 43-yard line with exactly 2.5 minutes remaining in the 31st Liberty Bowl. 42-29, Ole Miss has led from the very beginning. They scored with 1 minute 7 seconds gone in the game and have taken it from there. They will fake the reverse. This was set up in the first half. And keeping it all the way, Ronnie McKinney, a junior from Magnolia, Mississippi, for 10 yards. Carlton McDonald over there on the sideline for the tackle. Liberty Bowl records for the Rebels tonight: 6 touchdowns, ties the record for the most in a game. And as we mentioned before, they set their own bowl record for single game scoring by 1 on that last extra point. McKinney again hit immediately at the line of scrimmage by McNellis.
One of the problems that the Falcons have is that they had to waste one of their timeouts early, so they really have to be conservative on this. They can call it on 3rd down if they're able to hold them, but a 1st down right now is going to get the clock under. Well, it'll just about run the clock out. They have 2 timeouts. The Falcons have 2 timeouts to use, but they've got to use them sparingly. They're able to hold them on this 3rd down, and about 1 yard, you'll see them use a timeout.
But it continues to roll here. And now finally stopped with 1 minute 46.
Well, we know about the 3rd down conversions on short yardage.